Hello Internet! This is a response to Charlie's video, which is about change and I think sort of growing older, but mainly about change. And I just thought it was a very interesting topic of conversation. I thought it was a very interesting phenomenon, and as that's what I wanted to talk about when on YouTube, that's what we're going to talk about. As I've just finished the period of time in which people say that you change the most as a person, which is university, this question should be really easy for me to answer. But when I first started to think about it, nothing striking jumped out at me. I have changed very little in the last 4 years at university. Interestingly, same as Charlie, I have the shoe thing. So these are my brown Pumas. I'm at my parents' house at the moment and I can find 3 of these. Not 3 pairs, just 3. And I used to buy a pair of these a year, all the way from middle school through high school and into my first 2 years at uni. And then last year I decided that it was time to be done with the brown Pumas, and I bought myself a pair of leather shoes, which became my everyday shoes. Just thought I'd share because I thought that was funny. However, what I think is more interesting is not really this like cosmetic changes, it's the confidence. I have more confidence than I used to have when I was in high school. And I attributed this at first to just being, you know, slightly older, slightly more learned, being away from home and having to make decisions for myself, until I realized that that is actually incredibly important. And that is what I'm going to talk about right now, which is that when you go to university, and you don't have to go to university, it's just most people between the ages of about 18 and 20 something do go to university. And I think this is the time in which this realization hits most people. And the realization is not obvious at first, but what happens is that slowly but surely you start to think really critically about you and about your own personality. And that's why so many people's personalities change when at university. It's because they've actually started to think critically about how their actions, their thoughts, their words actually impacts on the world. And many of them are just like, this needs to stop. I need to change certain aspects of myself in order to make myself the person that I want to be. A lot of this comes from moving out, and a lot of it just comes from being in a point in your life where you meet so many people and you start to meet them on your own terms. So the ages between about 17 and 23 is when most people start to really interact with the world on a much more accountable level. You all of a sudden become incredibly accountable for your own actions, and this inspires many people to go in for a level of self-reflection and self-analysis that inspires them to change aspects of their personality that they don't like. It also inspires quite a lot of confidence. Quite a lot of young adults start to have the confidence that they never did before because they truly understand what they're doing, why they act the way they do, and what about their personality is inspiring them to say and do these things. And the fact that you then have a reason behind what you're thinking about and what you're saying does inspire confidence. That is a rather jumbled mechanism of saying what I wanted to say, and please keep in mind I know nothing about psychology. I'm just talking about my own experiences. I know many of you, or some of you at least, are about the same age as me, and therefore probably have experiences like this that you can share. You can tell me that that's not your experience. I really want to know. Because I think, like I said, it's a very interesting topic of conversation. It's a very interesting time in many people's lives, and everyone has different experiences, especially during this period of time in their life. So please let me know down in the comments, and yeah, thanks for listening. Now it's time for today's random fact of the day. Did you know that in the Bible, the locust is the most frequently mentioned insect, and it's mentioned 24 times? Closely following it are the moth, that's been mentioned 11 times, the grasshopper, which has been mentioned 10, the scorpion, also 10, the caterpillar, which has been mentioned 9 times, and the bee, which is mentioned 4. Sorry for looking down, I just wanted to get the numbers right. I hope you all enjoyed that video. Like I said, let me know what you thought. If you've got any friends that have cool opinions on this, let me know what they think. I will see you all soon. Bye!